Hello everyone. Today we will study about the conservative and non-conservative forces, and then after we will study about the law of conservation of mechanical energy, right? So first is conservative forces. So as the name itself indicates that when conservative forces are there, then the work done does not depend on the path followed. It depends only on the initial and the final position. So what are conservative forces? The forces in which the work done depends only on the initial and final positions. And not on the path followed, right? And here it depends on the path followed. So here the work depends on the path followed. Let's take the example here. Now suppose you have to reach the top of your building. You may have two ways. If you are a superman, you can directly jump to the top floor, and if you are taking the stairs, that is also one way. In case you have a lift in your building, you can take that lift, right? So there are different ways of reaching the top floor. In case of our school, we have a ramp also. So the ways to reach the top floor of a building are different, right? So you may take stairs, right? You may take a ramp, or you can simply jump if you are a superman. And in all these cases, how much is the displacement from the ground? H is the displacement. So what will be the work done? Work done will be the force into displacement, right? Because work is force into displacement. So F into H, and which force is acting downwards? Gravitational pull. So against that we have to do the work. So the same opposite force we are applying. So I can say that mg into H is the work done. So in all the cases, how much is the displacement? Displacement in all the cases is H, right? So we can say in this case that the work depends on initial and final position. Therefore, gravitational force is conservative. The other examples are electrostatic force, which you will study in 12th standard, magnetic force, etc. Right? So in this case, it depends on the path followed. What does it mean? Suppose you have two straight roads from your home to school, right? One is having friction and the other is smooth, right? So in both the cases, the displacement is same, but in which case you will have to do more work? Obviously, if you reach by road B, the work done will be more. So road B more work. Why? Because here friction is present. So in this case, the work done depends on the path followed, whether we are following path A or path B, right? So therefore, such forces are called non-conservative forces. Therefore, friction is a case of non-conservative force. So here we can write, here work done depends on path. Therefore, friction is a non-conservative force, right? Now again, what can be the second point? Second point can be written as, here there is no dissipative forces. What are dissipative forces? The forces which result in the loss of energy. Forces result in loss of energy, right? So here you can write the second point as dissipative forces are present, right? So friction itself is a dissipative force. Right? So let's now take the case of law of conservation of mechanical energy. Though you have studied this in 9th standard, but the term conservative and non-conservative forces were not introduced in 9th standard. So law of conservation of mechanical energy. It states that if only conservative forces are present, then the total mechanical energy of the system is conserved. The total mechanical energy of a system is conserved. Let's take the example. For example, free fall case. If you remember, you have done this in 9th standard. So let's take the case of the free fall. The stone is falling down towards the ground, and we take 3 points during its journey. This is the first point, the topmost point, and somewhere here the next point, and on the ground I'm taking the last point. So this journey, at all these points of this journey, we will find the total energy, right? So at point A, if we say that the height of the point A is h, right, and the distance moved from A to B is x, And obviously the distance between B and C will be h minus x, right? So from here at point A, what will be the potential energy? This will be mgh. What will be the kinetic energy? Since the velocity here is 0, so half m into 0 square is equal to 0. So what will be the total energy? This will be mgh plus 0 is equal to mgh. Now let's take the point B. So at B, potential energy is mg h minus x. Why so? Because point B is at a height h minus x from the ground. So let's take kinetic energy. This will be half m v at B whole square. Now we need to convert this velocity at B in the form of x. Why? So we are taking journey from A to B, right? So this will be v square is equal to u square plus 2as. This is the formula. So v is velocity at B whole square, u is velocity at A. So that will be 0 whole square plus 2. Gravitational acceleration is also acting downwards. So I can say that gravitational acceleration and displacement are along same direction. So this will be taken as positive. So 2g, and how much distance it has traveled from A to B? X. So VB square is 2gx. So we'll put this value in this equation. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So from 2 in 3, what do we get? We get kinetic energy is equal to half m into 2gx. This gives me mgx. Therefore, total energy at B is equal to potential energy plus kinetic energy at B, obviously. So at this point, potential energy is mg h minus x plus mg x, and this gives me mg h, because mg minus mgx and mgx will be cancelled. Now let's take the point C. So at point C, how much is the height? Height is 0. So potential energy will be mg into height is 0. So this is 0. Let's talk about kinetic energy at C. So this will be half m into velocity at C whole square. Now I need to put this value of C in the form of h. So how to do that? Let's consider the journey A to C. This is the point where you have to keep this in mind, right? Otherwise the derivation will be very long and you will be confused. So here from A to C journey, I am using again the third equation of motion, v square is equal to u square plus 2as. So this v is velocity at C whole square, velocity at A is the initial velocity, so this is 2, 0 square plus 2 into g into s. Distance traveled during A to C is h. So vc square is 2gh. Let's mark this as equation 4 and this as 5. So from 4 and 5, I'll get 4 and 5. I'll get kinetic energy is equal to half m into vc square is 2gh. So this gives me mgh. Therefore, total energy at C is equal to potential energy at C plus kinetic energy at C. So this is what potential energy at C is 0. Kinetic energy at C is mgh. So this gives me mgh. Now if you look at this expression this equation 1 from equation 1, this I am marking as equation 6, and this I am marking as 7. From 1, 6 and 7, it is proved that total energy is constant during free fall. Right? So now we can draw a graph for this proof. So for this graph, I can write all the energies on the y-axis and the distance on the x-axis. So this is the distance, and this is the total energy I am plotting here, potential energy I am plotting here, and kinetic energy I am plotting here. Okay, so let's check. If 0 is the height, that means point C. How much is the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is maximum, but the potential energy is minimum. So if I am drawing this graph, so at 0 height, the kinetic energy is maximum. So this is the kinetic energy graph, and at the height, this is point A. So at point A, how much is the height? This height is h, right? And if we talk about the potential energy, so potential energy is 0 at 0 height and maximum at the height h. So I am drawing this. This is maximum height. Maximum height means maximum potential energy. So this is the graph for potential energy, and the total energy remains constant at every point of the journey, that is mgh. So that means total energy will be a graph which is a line parallel to the displacement axis. So this will show the total energy during the journey, right? So this was about the conservation of mechanical energy, proof of conservation of mechanical energy for free fall, and the graph. So that's all for now. Have a nice day.